Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial. This segment's brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books done and published to educate consumers, grow their businesses, and to leave a legacy. I'm doing a series of spotlights on remarkable business intermediaries and exit planning strategists and advisors from across the country. And joining me on this segment is Windus Fernandez Brinkkord with Trilogy Financial Services. Windus, welcome to the program.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Windus, tell us a little bit about your work, and especially tell us specifically who are the types of clients that you specialize in working with and helping.
Got it. So a little bit about the work we do here is we do work with a lot of business owners and trying to help them understand, what does it take to live the lifestyle that they want to live? A lot of business owners have a complete grasp on their business cash flow, profit and loss, but they have no idea what it really takes to replace their actual income in retirement. They run a lot of expenses through the business itself. So we try to help them really dive in and understand what does life after the business look like and help them really prepare themselves mentally for that.
Let's unpack that a little bit because I understand, business owners think growth, growth, growth. They're really great at running the business,
Right.
but when it comes time to exiting, a lot of them, I realize, don't even know where to start. And I don't even know if this is on their mind. What is on their mind, first of all? What's the most important thing they think of when it comes time to exiting their business?
I think a lot of business owners get caught in the how much they can sell for, not understanding the tax implications. They get caught in the I'm done, I'm ready to move on, but then they don't plan out what life after the business will look like. And if you don't spend time understanding how, if you're working 80 hours a week in your business and you don't spend an ounce of time planning how that 80 hours is going to look after the business is gone, you may find yourself very unhappy having sold the business. So for us, the preparation, I hope I'm answering the question correctly for you. Like the preparation is really like, it's almost a psychological exercise to really walk them through life after business.
Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely wanted to hear what's on their mind already. And then I want to sort of open their mind to like the things that they should be considering because people don't know what they don't know. So let's talk about that next, Windus. What are the most important things that you find business owners should be considering when it's time to exit the business?
Okay, so when it's time to exit the business, one of the things I notice that business owners should consider but don't is the tax implications of that exit. A lot of people, they neglect to understand that you've grown this business, you've depreciated these assets, and the IRS is going to take a little bit of that cut. So that's one thing to consider as they exit the business. Another thing to consider as they exit the business is, are they actually ready to exit the business? A lot of people feel like they are, and then they go through a bunch of exercises about the exit, and then they realize, oh wait, no, this is going to actually be premature. I have another last act in me. Also, business owners neglect in the pre-sell business phase. They think, oh, I'm going to work until I'm 90 and I'm not going to sell the business. But there are a lot of life events that really change that. So the whole exit planning process is trying to make sure that the business owner is taking a holistic view about all the things that could happen, even if they aren't going to happen. And also what happens as you exit the business in terms of the tax implications. Some business owners neglect to understand what their wealth gap is. So, hey, if I'm going to sell my business for 5 million, maybe I'm going to net 3.5 million, whatever that looks like. Is that actually enough for me not to work? And we talked a little bit about that already with the wealth gap, but I just wanted to tackle that from a different angle.
What are some of the preconceived notions? I mean, there must be a lot of myths or misconceptions floating around out there regarding, finances after selling a business. What are some of the biggest like myths or misconceptions you hear out there?
Ooh, good question. Maybe I needed to have my morning coffee before we talk today. Just kidding.
I
um,
figure you must hear something that business owners may mistakenly think or
I
any
think there's a
preconceived notions.
really, it's a really great question, really, because it's really that they didn't plan what life after the business was going to look like. They weren't prepared to spend, 80 hours a week with their spouse potentially. Like it sounds silly, but it's a much bigger life event than I think people give it credit. They're like, oh, they're so excited. We celebrate your retirement. And then what? And we do see a lot of business owners are very unhappy with the then what. And that's again why it's about really preparing yourself for what that looks like.
So it sounds like they're really picturing retirement celebration, but they don't
Oh,
really think
I'm
of
gonna
what does that
summer
look
in
like.
Monaco. And then it's like, oh, well, that's really expensive. And maybe I want to do that once. And then what do I do with the other, 4 or 5, 6 months of the year?
So linked to what you mentioned about, tax implications or maybe other things they haven't considered upon their exit. What are some of the biggest, let's say, what's the biggest pitfall you've seen? Is it that or is it anything else? Any pitfall
The
or big
biggest
mistake
pitfall. Yeah.
that an owner has made exiting their business not quite properly prepared? What are some big mistakes?
This is the hands down biggest mistake every business owner makes is not planning 5 years out, 3 to 5 years out. You can't call a financial planner or a CPA or a business attorney and say, oh, I found a buyer, we're selling next month. Absolutely worst thing you could ever do. You cannot fire sell a business that you worked so hard to build and do so successfully. You are always going to have a lot of regret and remorse over that. It does take a lot of time. There's a lot of pieces to selling the business. Maybe your EBITDA is 3 times. Now we had 3 to 5 years ahead, and you could have brought in professionals who could help you look at what pivots could you make in your business to take that EBITDA multiplier up. So the biggest issue we see are that people don't plan ahead for the sale. So
Great
this goes
insight.
back to succession planning, but it's bigger than succession planning. It's the I know that I'm going to go in 3 to 5 years. So what do I need to do?
Windus, what inspired you to become a exit planning advisor? Like, what got you into this industry, and how'd you get started?
So I started at Trilogy. What was really great about the firm that I'm in is that we groom people right out of college. We apprentice you into the financial planning industry. So in the beginning stages of my career, I worked mostly with like people who were starting to grow their wealth, understand what to do with their wealth. And as my career matured, my clients matured. And then we started to work with more business owners, more people who needed 401k plans for their company or to understand their retirement planning options. And it morphed into me understanding the next phase of setting up all these retirement plans would be also helping these individuals that we've helped for years now actually find their way into their next chapter. So
Excellent.
it's been a good
Windus, before I
progression.
ask you my last question, is there anything that I didn't think to ask that you feel is important to share with business owners today that are considering exiting their business?
No, the only thing that comes to mind is that a smooth sail to your children is probably not the easiest path, as many people think, like, oh, my kid will just take over. And that often is a big pitfall that doesn't end well for a family. So that requires literally the same amount of planning as any other transaction would.
Interesting. So, Windus, for business owners listening that realize they need to get their financial houses in order to exit their business and would like to speak with you, how do they find you, connect with you, and learn more?
They can go to the Trilogy Financial Services website. They can always connect with us by finding me there through the San Diego office, or it's trilogyfs.com/Windus. Not the easiest name, but you can find me there for sure.
Windus, this has been terrific. I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing with my audience today, and I wish you continued success for you and for all of your clients.
Thanks for having me. All right.
That was Windus Fernandez Brinkkord with
You
Trilogy
got it.
Financial Services. And this segment was brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books done and published to educate consumers, grow their businesses, and to leave a legacy. That's all for now. I'm Mark Imperial, and thanks for joining me.